George, lovely to see you. How are things going?
Very well, thanks here. Ready, just excited to have so many races back to back. The season's really hotting up now, which is really exciting, and we seem to have turned a small corner, and the performance is improving as well, which is obviously what it's all about. So, all things well so far. Thank you.
We were all, I think, a bit gutted for you last weekend. It was one of those where it offered so much and just kind of turned around, slapped you in the face and ran away. How are you feeling after last weekend?
Yeah, I mean, such a bitterly disappointing end, having a mechanical failure. It doesn't happen in the 2 years when we're last every single race, but the time when we're fighting in the points on merit for the first time, it does. So that's just sort of typical. But, I think we come out of it in a slightly different feeling compared to some of the events in 2020, because those events when we had a chance in 2020, it was really all the stars were aligned. We were there. We sort of fluked to get into that position, and that was really our only shot. Whereas this time, we had a great race in France. We finished 12th on merit when every single car finished, typically as well. And then obviously this time, we qualified 11th, almost in Q3, up to 8th in the race there. Again, on merit, it was fast, the car felt good. So, we've all got a hint of optimism now, and the team spirit is really high. My spirit's high, and, we're all full of confidence. So, roll on the next few races.
Euros are a massive talking point. Great result from the last round. Where did you watch it? Who did you watch it with? Was it phenomenal?
Absolutely. I was at home with my parents, buzzing. Got to believe in the boys, and they've got a pretty nice run in the next couple of games. So had my England top on this morning walking into the track. I'll definitely be wearing that on Saturday, and probably be watching it at the track with all of the engineers and mechanics and everybody. So the spirit is definitely going to be high on Saturday.
Let's turn our attention to talk about Silverstone, because this is primarily for the Silverstone podcast, which is going to go out before the British Grand Prix. So how much are you looking forward to getting back to Silverstone this year?
Can't wait for it. I think, it's always a joy going to Silverstone to drive what is an amazing track. But, 140,000 fans is going to be buzzing for all of us. I think we all need it and deserve it, not just drivers and teams, but the fans as well. And it's going to be so exciting for everybody. So fingers crossed the weather holds off, which hopefully we've had our bad bit of the weather out of the way in the last couple of weeks in the UK, and we can get some nice sunshine. But it's just going to be a mega event all in all.
I think it's been difficult for you guys not having the fans there. Can you try and tell people at home what it's been like and the difference you're expecting when we do have the fans back?
I mean, you just don't have that atmosphere when you drive into the track on a Saturday or Sunday morning. It's quiet. It feels a bit like a ghost town, to be honest. And it's so odd, as it's obviously still so busy with the F1 teams, and when you're on the grid is packed. But you look around and it's completely empty. So that's not what sport's about. Sport's about the atmosphere, about the entertainment, and the fans are a huge part of that. So going to Silverstone with what will be by far the biggest crowd we've had in a year and a half, is going to be so exciting for everyone.
I mean, everybody always talks about the famous quote that Mansell made. I spoke to Damon Hill earlier. He was saying it does make a difference. The fans make a difference to the speed that you can do. Have you found that? Do you find going home means you just get a little something?
I think so. I mean, you can't quantify it, but just having that support, obviously it does add some extra pressure, but it's good pressure, and a lot of us sort of thrive off that. And going out there to try and put on your best performance in front of everybody is such a special feeling, especially if you do a good job. It is amazing. So, like I said, I just can't wait for it, to be honest. It's been so long coming, and for it to be my home race, and for everybody to be there. I'll have a lot of family in the grandstands as well. It's all in all, it's just going to be really nice.
Take me back to small George Russell, the first time you ever went to Silverstone.
That was 2009. I remember it quite well. I was there. It was with a championship called Formula Kart Stars, which was the main British championship back in 2009. And I remember watching the start from Cops, and just the noise and the buzz and the atmosphere from the cars, from the fans. Everything was just, it gave me goosebumps. Watching Formula One cars race around the track, battling at 200 miles an hour. There's nothing quite like it, really, and especially watching it at a corner like Cops or Maggots and Beckett's, where we're absolutely flat out going through these corners so quickly. It's breaking the laws of physics. It seems, and I think if you've never been to a Formula One race before or seen a Formula One car, your jaw will be dropping just seeing the speed.
I think there have been quite a lot of new fans to Formula One recently. I think Netflix and Drive to Survive has really had an impact. Have you noticed that you've got more fans, different fans?
I mean, since I joined Formula One, Netflix has been around, so I've sort of been on this journey since Netflix has been there. But definitely, I think Formula One is appealing more and more to a younger generation, which is great, really, and it's so diverse, such a unique sport in the sense that you can't just go and do it yourself. There's only 20 people in the world who are fortunate enough to drive these incredibly fast race cars, and that makes it so unique in its own way.
What's it like when you look at that podium? Obviously, when you're in the Williams, as great as the team are and as much heritage they have, the chances of you standing on a podium when it comes to the Silverstone this week in the British Grand Prix, that would be, amazing, maybe unlikely. But when you look at it and think potentially one day you could be stood there with the British fans cheering your name, how does that make you feel?
I mean, that's what dreams are made of, really, and that's what motivates me to be at the front of the grid. Working as hard as I can at the moment to push Williams forward, push myself forward, and I said it before. I didn't work my whole life to get to Formula One, to be battling for last place. I'm here to win, and I want to be fighting for victories. It's that's what I live for, really. So it is tough. But I really hope in the near future, no matter who I'm racing for, I'll get that opportunity, and I'll keep on working as hard as I can to get that, because I just want to be standing on that top step of the podium.
And I don't want to get carried away with myself, but an all British lineup at a team like Mercedes, where either you or, let's say, Lewis Hamilton could win a championship, could win the British Grand Prix. I mean, it's literally the stuff we've all dreamt of for such a long time. I just feel it's getting closer.
I guess hypothetically that could be exciting to some, especially British fans, but that's I won't talk about hypotheticals just yet. But as I said, I just want to be fighting for victories, fighting for world championships. I feel ready. I've spent 3 years working my way up from the back to the midfield, performing at my absolute maximum, trying to get the most out of my team around me. And I think we've done a really good job and a really solid job. But it is different when you are fighting for victories and fighting for championships. As I experienced in my junior career, and that's what I live for. And I'm just hopefully that day will come sooner rather than later. I got a small taste last year, but I want to taste it week in, week out.
I think the fans are desperate as well for it all to happen. And I know we don't want to jinx it. We don't want to say anything too early and make things difficult for you. But I know a lot of people are crossing their fingers that whatever happens next year, it's positive. And we get a rule reset next year as well, which who knows what's going to happen. I mean, that's what make it even more difficult for everybody, every driver, to make a good decision going into next year.
Yeah, I mean, making a good decision at this stage is impossible. You look back at Lewis in 2012 when he left McLaren to join Mercedes. Everybody thought he was crazy. Then you go 3 years later, McLaren are last and Mercedes are winning every single race. So, you can say that was a great decision. Did he know it was going to be like that? Even if he says he does, I don't believe him. There's no way anybody could have predicted Mercedes were going to be that dominant and McLaren to have struggled that much. So, fingers crossed wherever I am next year, we have a competitive car and, out of the options that are on the table, I think I will find myself in a competitive car, regardless of what colour that car may be.
Now I just want to ask you what options are on the table. I mean, you left it there.
Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work that out, to be honest. So, no, right now I'm a loyal Williams driver, and I think the progress as a team we're making at the moment is massive. And obviously with Yost on board and the arrival of the new owners investing in the right places, Williams are really sort of making the turn, and to move the course of a big ship is never easy, and that's what they're in the process of at the moment. But they're really going in the right direction, and I really believe at some point in the near future, Williams will be right back at the front. Whether that's next year, whether that's in 3 or 5 years' time, I really believe it. They're on the right course. So yeah.
I certainly know there will be tons of people packing into Silverstone to cheer on Williams, to cheer on you and the 3 Brits. Just tell me, do you get on, the 3 of you? Do you ever just chat about, because the focus is normally, on Lewis and stuff, but you're 3 Brits, you're representing your country at the pinnacle of your sport.
Yeah, absolutely. We all get along, to be honest. Whenever we cross paths, we'd always talk with each other, and I think there's a strong respect between the 3 of us, to be honest. Obviously, both Lando and I really respect everything Lewis has achieved, obviously. But I think the other way as well, I think Lewis respects, we're 2 youngsters coming in and doing a half-decent job. Obviously, Lando's doing a spectacular job at the moment. And I think he recognises that, to be honest. So, there is a strong respect between us all, and I'm sure in Silverstone we'll be doing a few activities together, whether that's on the track parade or whatever. And I just remember back in 2019 on the track parade, waving at all the fans and hearing everybody cheering. And even after the race, I think it was just before the Craig David concert or something, everybody outside the stage, it must have been 5,000 to 10,000 people, and we were on stage, the 3 of us at different points, and just the atmosphere was just so electric. And I just can't wait to experience that again.
George, we will all be cheering you on. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Cheers.